Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Last Week in Denmark podcast. I am Kalpita, and I have the very lovely Golda with me. How are you, Golda?
Hi, Kalpita. I'm fine. It's been such a long time we've had an episode together.
Yeah, it's been a long while.
How are you?
I'm good too. Settling into the winter now, doing my best to enjoy it. Candle lights are out. There's a little bit of Christmas spirit going on. So it's great. How about you?
Yeah, it's the same here. I'm currently in Sierra Leone and I see the Christmas decorations, and we have something called Dirty December, so there is definitely Christmas spirit.
Oh, that's sweet. Well, on that note, we have a couple of topics we are going to try and cover today. One of the big conversations, hopefully, is going to be the biggest police force in history is on the way. They've received a new budget and a big boost for the police force in general.
Interesting.
There's another big boost ahead for homeowners and families in 2026. Yay!
Mhm.
Consumer confidence still has dropped to its lowest point in years, which is sort of counterproductive. And there are fewer areas on the ghetto list because communities have moved forward and they have become better, according to new reports.
That's great.
And if we have time, we will try and cover new Nordic health report, which is also showing a decline in general health of the people of Denmark, which is not very great news. And the minister is threatening tough action against parking firms using illegal tactics and fake road assistance scams, which are being exposed now, which I think is so good. What would you like to start talking about, Golda? Is there anything you have specific in mind?
I think these are all really interesting topics, to be honest, but something that strikes me is the Ghetto List initiative from the government side.
Yeah, and the ghetto list. I watched a report on this new ghetto list where people have found it very helpful over the years, that there have been improvements. The crime has considerably been controlled. The housing has become better. The facilities for housing has become better. Schools and childcare has become better, basically with your vuggestuer and barnehave and things like that. So in general, they have been uplifted. It's a joint effort from the municipality and the locals as well. Although there are few cities and towns that are still on the ghetto list, but the list has become considerably small. Do you have any experience with ghetto lists or ghetto areas?
I do. So I grew up in Møllerparken, which was also in the ghetto list. It's a communal area in Nørrebro.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's my familiarity with it. And of course, I understand that this is areas where there are vulnerable people and where crime rates is high. So it's good to hear some positive outcomes. I would just love to understand more about like the people aspect. I think it's very interesting to hear who is like giving the feedback, especially because this is socially marginalized areas and so-called parallel societies, and it can sometimes increase certain biases in Danish politics by using the words ghetto in a context that I don't think should be used at all. But at the same time, I think it's good that there are positive outcomes in these areas, and that there's shown improvement in employment and stuff.
Yeah, so I'm reading the report here, which says there's been a decrease in number of parallel communities in Denmark,
Mm.
which is very much resonating with what you just told us. They have reduced to about only 5 now, and the number of vulnerable residential areas is also decreasing. And there's an aim to have no parallel communities or areas in Denmark by 2030. From 12 vulnerable residential areas last year, we have come down to 7 such areas. And the Minister of Social Affairs and Housing is also publishing that parallel communities and vulnerable residential areas have been transformed, and they have been getting enough protection and laws to make sure that they are becoming better. There's Askerød in Greve, Stengårdsvej in Esbjerg, and Skovvejen or Skovparken in Kolding that have been removed from both the lists being parallel communities and vulnerable residential areas. They no longer meet the criteria, and the proportion of convicted persons in the area has also decreased. Additionally, 2 towns in Esbjerg are being removed from the list of vulnerable residential areas as well, because the convicted persons have decreased, which means the crime has decreased in these areas, and there are improved level of education which is also happening in these areas, which are all good things. What I'm not happy with is the bias that it comes with, like you rightly said. But progress is progress, and especially if it is positively affecting the youth, because they are our future, then that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
And here I can read as well that the average gross income of taxpayers, which is from 15 to 64 in these areas, excluding those seeking education, is less than 55% on average gross income from the same group in the same region. So the vulnerable areas are understood to be, like you said, public residential areas where at least 1,000 residents live, and at least 2 out of 4 of the following are met. So one of them is a low tax paying group. The other is people who have basic education, which is about 60% in this group, aged 30 to 59. And the proportion of residents convicted of violation is at least 3 times the national average, which is calculated as of past 2 years. And the other is, of course, employment and education, which needs to exceed 40%, which I think are fair numbers. But I think those numbers, yeah, again, the bias is not that great. And I remember there was a conversation also about why they are termed as ghetto areas and not something else. For whatever reason, inclusivity and equity is not extending.
Exactly. As someone who's lived in the US, I just feel like ghettos is a very strong term. Like, I don't feel like there are actual real ghettos in Denmark, and I think other people would agree. But I also understand that there has been some area-based discrimination. And again, we all have internal explicit biases that come through, even in policies, right? But at the end of the day, the bigger picture is positive, and there are improvements in marginalized communities, such as employment and social conditions. So I agree with you in that sense. There have also been talk of some gentrification, like forced demolition or sales of public housing, maybe even stricter regulations or social control measures. And that, again, is because it's been so focused on criteria like non-Western background, right? Which is where the discrimination can creep in. But at the end of the day, we do want to see improvement and equal opportunities for all residents of Denmark in all areas. So yeah, I'm seeing the bigger picture, and I'm happy that the reports are coming out now.
Yeah, it is a mixed bag of things, isn't it? I mean, when you look at the big picture, it is a good thing, because everybody in society should be uplifted and get all the necessary support and assistance for just being better off in life, irrespective of what your background and where you live.
Exactly.
But I see that this is probably termed and understood in this way to make sure that the economics is following the law, and that there is enough and more possibility for making this happen so people get the rights.
Guess what?
You have the power to help us bring home a Discover Pods award this year.
And it's as easy as casting a quick vote.
We're thrilled to announce that we've been nominated in 2 categories:
The news category and the best podcast of the year.
Voting runs from December 1st to December 21st, and you can find the voting link right in our show notes.
Winners are announced on January 8th, and we'd be so grateful for your support.
Thank you for being such an amazing part of the Last Week in Denmark universe. But talking of parallel communities and residence areas, we have our next news, which is new figures from the government is showing that homeowners will get a lot more in their pocket in 2026 for consumption, which is always great. It's always nice to have more money in your pocket.
Yeah.
Inflation has been plummeting to 1%. It's the lowest in several years.
Wow.
Yeah. And Danes in the labor market can expect nice wage increases. They are estimating to about 3.2%. So everybody who is due for a raise, you better lock that in. Remember, 3.2% minimum. Which also means that real wages, so whether you're going to start a new job, will also be seeing a rise comparatively. So if you're due to get 28,000, maybe you get 30,000, which I mean, nobody's going to complain about 2,000 more. Not me for sure.
Definitely not me. Yeah, I think this is really good, especially because wages right now is not following like the inflation in other countries, and especially in the UK where I live, I just think the average wages is really, really low for what we're seeing in housing prices and just in food. So I'm so proud of Denmark for really pushing to bring down the numbers and to really support citizens.
Absolutely. I mean, that's also one of the things that the next election is going to be running on, and especially Mette Frederiksen is making this her biggest agenda for the election as well. And so I'm taking this news with a pinch of salt, because there is also additional expenses that are going to be added to 2026, like your gym classes, your Pilates classes, your extra curricular activities will be taxed because they're going to now start levying the VAT, which is a EU law, so you can't really escape that.
Wow.
But I do remember a couple of episodes ago, Katie and I spoke about how we were getting some exemptions and reduced subsidies for gym classes and such things. So that's great, but it's also a bit of a balanced game. I can see that how we're being affected by the EU laws and everything externally, and how the government in Denmark is trying to make sure that we are not putting too much out of the pocket at the same time, following international laws as well, which I think is a very, very hard balance. And so far, the government is doing a really, really good job. I mean, if inflation is reducing even after higher groceries and a lot of people getting laid off and things like that, I think it's an amazing amazing and miraculous almost picture that we're sitting in 2025 with these numbers.
It's always good to give credit where credit is due. So kudos, Denmark.
Yeah. Well, here it just to give people a bit of context, the calculations show that an ordinary family will have 15,000 kroner more at its disposal next year compared to this year. And that's because when the report was published, the government has presented calculations for ordinary white collar workers and working class family who will receive a windfall in the form of tax breaks, lower institution payments, and significantly lower electricity taxes. So if you have kids who are going to vuggestuen, børnehave, or school for that matter, you will probably get cheaper payments happening on that, which is a great relief. Tax breaks is always great. And I mean, especially having lower electricity taxes, especially when you're in the winter time. Hell yes.
Of course, I can imagine.
Yeah. But the concern for high food prices still remains, you know? And yeah, the custom barriers are still there, and the war in Ukraine, and that's also why there has been another report that says consumer confidence has hit almost rock bottom, which I totally understand. I think you have the same in the UK as well, don't you?
Yeah, it is. As I mentioned, like the wages are not reflecting in the inflation that we see. And
Yeah.
a lot of people are struggling in the UK. A lot of taxes are causing business owners to even leave the UK because it's not really favorable.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's interesting because it's quite a common picture we're seeing in the EU, especially with new governments that have been sworn in. France is also going to have a new government coming, I think, next year, just as Denmark is going to. And with everything that's going on, most of the EU has emerged as better economies, or at least been able to sustain themselves, especially given the war that's going on right now.
Brexit, girl, Brexit. It didn't help UK very much. It's quite unfortunate, actually. I think there's a lot of regret in terms of Brexit and how it affected the British economy. So things are not looking as positive right now, but there are a lot of incentives from the government to kind of try to improve, especially on the areas of immigration, as we've previously spoken about as well. But yeah, I think it's so good that Denmark has managed.
Yeah. And continuing the positive news, we have one of the biggest news of the week this week is there's going to be a boost in the police force. They have received a big political boost where there's going to be longer police training. Salaries are going to get better, especially when they're under
Wow.
education. Yeah. And there is going to be specialized education in digital and economic crime, and that is primarily to tackle rising online fraud and resource shortages. And when I read the news, I also read that they are going to improve some police stations which are in dire need of help. So infrastructure is also going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
The program that this political deal is coming out of is extended to police degrees, which used to be 2 years and 4 months to 3 years, with the pay for most part of it. So, if anyone's interested and is eligible, they should most certainly try because you will get paid a decent salary so you can sustain yourself. And it's aiming to hire around 12,000 officers by 2030. So that's going to be a big boost in the next 4 years. And the agreement is also expanding to AI and facial recognition use because it's going to simply strengthen all the old cases, but also make it better with new kind of hybrid crimes and crimes that are becoming more and more sophisticated. This deal also includes strengthening environmental crime enforcement, and it is launching a partner homicide commission. 2025 has seen one of the highest numbers in crime against women and children. So this new launch of the Partner Homicide Commission is going to do a great deal of help for women who are, and probably I hope men as well, who are facing domestic violence, abuse of any form, and especially children as well. So yeah, good news around for the police department.
Yeah, it's very interesting. A 1.5 billion DKK annual starting 2030. That's a lot. And I just really hope that they really also focus on the psychological and mental aspects of fighting crimes, because that has always been, the struggle with the new law on emotional abuse and the consent law.
Yeah.
There is a lot happening in that front. So yeah, it's good that they're bringing in more people and that they're putting such a great incentives for people to join. In another life, I would have been a police officer, but not in this one. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the news article here says that there has been a significant increase in the number of cases of financial crime and cybercrime, including fraud, online fraud, and digital morality crimes. So I think that will be included in this new boost as well. What I do also know additionally is that police officers will get help with their mental health as well, which I think is incredible.
Definitely. definitely.
And also those who have been affected in some way or the other, physically, mentally, while being on duty, which is also amazing that they get that support. And the general sentiment out of this whole deal is that, of course, the police have been really, really significant in protecting us and looking after society. But at the same time, it is the political government's responsibility to look after the police as well. So this is going to be like a big, big supportive hand for the police force, which I'm so, so happy for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. This is so important. Mental health is so important, especially mental health of the people who have to enforce the law and also be able to identify, certain crimes that have to do with emotional or psychosocial abuse.
We can move on to the next one, which is the health report that has shown a decline in general in health of the people in Denmark. So Novo is not really being that effective in the Danish society. One of the things the report has mentioned is that people are becoming more and more obese.
Really?
Which is not a very good sign. In Denmark, yeah, people are eating fewer fruits and vegetables. In fact, even if the prices have increased, Denmark's consumption of meat has either stayed the same or has increased, because there was a survey that was done and Denmark comes out as the biggest meat consuming country.
What? Wow. Okay.
And this is numbers as of the past 10 years. We consume more sugar, and we're also seeing a rise in levels of overweight adults and children.
Yeah, I would love to see what we're comparing it to.
I can pull this report up, but at the same time, we are seeing a double intake of energy drinks, especially among young adults. So lay off that Red Bull, people. And many fall short on physical activity. So increasing prices of gym membership is not helping there.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And Denmark stands out for drinking, of course, but we all know that.
Mm-hmm.
And eating the most meat through, though Danes also exercise more and eat more whole grains than most of the Nordic average. So that's a bit of a paradoxical report, but let me look at other countries who are we being compared to.
Okay, that's good, because I was like, wait, what?
Okay, so this is Nordic countries. There's Finland, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark.
Okay. Yeah, I see.
I mean, this is also everybody in the Nordic big meat eaters. So us being highest among one of the world's most meat consuming countries is concerning in some way, but it's not surprising.
No. That's true. You're right in that front.
I just read out some stats before we wrap this up. Consumption of energy drinks, as mentioned, has doubled in the past decade, with the largest increase seen among young adults. At the same time, 56% of adults are overweight or obese. That's a shocker.
Yeah.
The same applies to 1 in 5 children. In both cases, this is more than in 2014, and a large portion of both children and adults do not reach the recommended level of physical activity. So take more walks, people, and don't be afraid to get on that bicycle. On that note, we will end this podcast. That's been a quick one today. I hope everyone's having a very, very good winter break. And please do not forget to check the newsletter and vote for the Last Week in Denmark podcast, because we have been nominated.
Vote for us.
For 2 categories. One is for the news podcast and the other is for podcast of the year. We are very, very grateful that you bothered to listen to us. We would be even more appreciative if you did vote for us as well.
I agree.
Thank you very much, and listen to Golda. And thank you for your time, Golda.
Thank you so much, Kalpita. This has been lovely.
Bye.
Bye.
Did you know that the Last Week in Denmark newsletter is available in 8 languages? Hey there, This is Fionn from the Last Week in Denmark podcast, and every week you guys are tuning in to hear me and my fellow co-hosts talk about the top news of the week in English. But let's be real, we're all internationals, so not only are you speaking English every day, you're probably also speaking a bit of Danish, but you've probably also got your own native language as well, like the multilingual master you are. So why not treat yourself to the luxury of being able to read Danish news each week in your own native language? So head on over to lastweekdk.substack.com, that's lastweekdk.substack.com, and sign up for our newsletter delivered to you every single Sunday.